So I wrote a letter to my wife, to present wife, and she responded for me. And I told her to come to Czechoslovakia. She said, I'm not going there. If you want to come here, it's fine. So she tried for a visa. She got some people, friends, Genta friends, who helped her to get me the visa. I went on the train. I left 50,000 kron in a bank, deposited. I never got that money, but it doesn't matter. I get out of the system because I got some papers which was not kosher, and I was afraid I would get caught, and they sent me again to prison. I was 6 years in prison, and I got another 6. So I even joking all the time with my wife or his friends that I was in Russia 7 years. Like Jacob was working by Laban 7 years, and then he married Rachel. So I said I worked 7 years to marry Leah, not Rachel, and they give me Leah. So this was the and then when I came to Sweden, and the authorities gave me hardship. They said, yeah, you are a farmer, and I have to say I'm a farmer. So anyway, I find a job, and I told them I don't want to stay here. Let me stay till I go to America, and we start to work with our relatives in the United States. And finally, I got a visa, and we came to America December 4th, 1951.
Where did you go to?
We came to New York, and my wife has here an aunt. She was so anxious to have her in the house, and we figured we come here and will be everything fine. But we stayed there probably about 3-4 weeks, and we went on our own. I had a job on my cousin for 90 cents an hour.
Where?
In a warehouse here on tomato and celery packing house.
This was in Detroit?
In Detroit, on near the river on 12-mile road there. I worked harder than labor camp, very hard, and it was hot. Summer was hot, and I lost so much weight. I looked miserable here, and I wanted even to go back to Sweden. Sweden was so nice and so friendly, and lots of friends, and didn't work that hard. But finally, I went application to go to Ford, and I was hired there on September 2nd, 1982. What I say? 1952. I was hired there, and I was worked there 30 years. First I work on production. Later I find they give me a job for automatic blanket setup. And I got it through a committee man who speaks Italian, and I talked to an Italian. We became friends, and he arranged me that job, and I reciprocate to him how much I could. Very nice man. But I heard 5 years later he died. But it was nice of him. Sometimes it's good to know a language. This is what I got from the Italian language.
Tell me, did your wartime experience affect the way you live afterwards?
In the beginning, I was not religious minded that much. But when I came, I didn't, But when I came to the United States, when I see the Jews have synagogues and they come together and they daven, they pray, and so on, I was very much for Israel. Israel was my pride. When Israel was successful, I was joyful. When Israel lost a man or two, I was sad. Sometimes I couldn't sleep when I heard some news in the evening. Israel lost 3 men or so on, or lost 4 men or so. And when the 6-day war was, and I came home at midnight, and my wife had to eat a big cake and milk, and I was drinking milk, and I was pouring milk and eating cake. I found out no milk and no cake. A gallon of milk was gone and the whole cake was gone. I was looking at the map, how the Israeli forces goes one way or another. I was joyful. I never was so happy after the war and at that time when finally the Jews have a little success too. It makes me feel so good. I always said I don't care what kind of government Israel has. The people elect the government democratically. They should have it. Of course, I prefer more Begin as prime minister than. I like Golda Meir. She was very nice, but she made a mistake in the Yom Kippur War. Made a big mistake.
Do you think that being married to another survivor affects the relationship?
I they all got they are affected by the event through, and as a husband I have to understand their effect is the way they act, the way they pursue their relationship. They are more nervous, they're different than those who are not in concentration camp. They got affected. I know other friends of mine, I remember, who told me stories that I don't want to go details, I don't want to go with. But I know friends that's affected. They're all affected. I don't wonder. You see burning brothers and sisters, how you can be affected? I don't wonder they are normal. Yeah, I want to tell you, because before I was running to Russia, I have 3 plans. Jacob, when Esau approached him, he make 3 plans. Once to do that, and once that, and once that. Three plans. I have 3 plans. Or go to Israel, to Palestine, through Romania, or I go to Italy, because I think Italy is friendly to the Jews. Mussolini was a friend because he met Jabotinsky and he told him he will put back they destroyed the Romans, the Jewish state, and they will rebuild it, and they allowed their military school for Jewish people, and I speak Italian, so I figured I go there.
What was the third plan?
And the third plan, Russia. And Russia was the last plan. But the plan to Romania, my friend went, he was caught, and he come back, skinned out because he couldn't bear the burden of the food what they give him there. So I don't go more to Romania. Then to Italy, I figured out I have to go through all Hungary through, and I go to the border there, I can get caught, and the Hungarian will pick me up, or the Italians might not be that friendly. I'm not so sure, even though I speak Italian. My accent will be not as Italian, I still have my accent. So finally, when I got the message that I'm a communist, so which I wasn't, I figured I go to Russia, and this is what I decided. With God, with Hashem in my side, give me that urge, and I went with all my that, and I never regretted. When I got in trouble in Russia, hungry the first week, when the boys was crying that last week I eat children, today I'm hungry, I never regretted because I knew. But he told me that I'm on a list. So only I have to wait only when the list will be executed. I didn't know what they will do with them, but that's what I expected. So Russia was the only thing. I was not a communist, but I was not a capitalist. I was employed. The business was, my end business was not mine at that time. We hoped to get it, but...
Did you ever find out what happened to the business afterwards?
The business, when I came back, I said I go to the town to see what happened to the store. The boys told me, Martin, in Ungvar, you have the papers, like the Russian consul, the Czech consul told me, you have the papers, go home. You will not find there and not one nail from your store. Nothing you will not find there. Gypsies are living in the place where the ant was living. Nothing is there. You have the papers, go home. Don't start up this. Somebody will tell something against you to the police, then you'll be in trouble. You know, somebody say that I was a rich boy, but whoever, you know, you don't need a lot. But say something, and they got the case, and they take you away, and like the Russians said, no papa, mama, no lawyers, nothing. So it was not easy to go. Then they told me nothing fine there, but I will say this is mine, then I'll be a capitalist. Oh, that was yours. Oh, you was the rich hardware store there. So I went, and I don't regret. No.
Tell me, is there any final message that you have for anybody who's watching?
Who was watching, I would just tell them, support Jewish causes, support Israel as much as you can, financially, spiritually. Hope that Hashem will help the Jewish people to maintain their state not endanger their population, and we will stop suffering that how much we suffered all those generations from Bar Kokhba's time to up to now. And like the God said, Dayenu is enough. And I hope I see some good times for Israel and for my family. And I hope my daughter will be healthy and the children will be healthy. I should not see any sickness in the family. And pray to God to give us health in the old age. And enjoy life.
Thank you very much for your testimony.
Okay, Mr. and Mrs. Ilkow, could you tell us who we have here today?
We have my daughter Beverly and my grandson Michael and my grandson Stephen. We love them very much, both of us.
I'm going to throw out a question to for Mrs. Ilkow. Do you think that your experiences in the camps affected the way you raised your children?
Yeah.
How so?
Yeah. Well, I was very strict. Once, I don't know why I was so strict, was I? And I wanted to give them everything that I didn't have. Everything. So it affected her a lot because she heard me crying in the night and screaming. So I think she was affected with it. She's more nervous. My older daughter, she's not like that.
Mr. Ilkow, you mentioned something before about
Yeah, I just when the kids were small, I was looking in that small tiny faces. They were so cute, and I didn't like to talk about the Holocaust in their present, because I was so afraid they will affect their growing up and their thinking, or they're scared, and then it will be hard to maintain their Jewishness in it, because with the Jews suffer so much, then it's hard to raise them to personally be Jewish. So I hold back to tell them stories about the Holocaust. Actually, my story is more easier than my wife's
You told
story.
them the story all
But
the
I
time.
told them the story 1,000 times. But it is not special against the Jews, my story. My story is my life
Your
in the time
family.
of trouble, yeah.
Beverly, do you think that your identity was affected at all by what your parents went through?
Well, growing up, it was a problem only in the sense that I didn't have any grandparents, didn't have aunts and uncles. I had no relatives. When there was an occasion, it was just my parents. My dad's stories about his family was just, he lived in me by telling his stories, his children, his family, their soul will carry on. If something happened to him, that I could repeat the stories to my children. And as far as my parents, my mother's strictness, she was very strict, but also very giving, and she tried to give me everything she didn't have. She went with nothing, so I should have the best of everything.
I believed you should tell your children to tell the children, "Bribar to bomb, beshiftuch ubevesech ublechtech uvaderech." And I kept all those things. I told them in the house. I was telling the story in my bed when I was about my sister, about my father, about his temper, about his love to my mother, how patient was with her, how everything. And I used to tell them on the car, in the home. Every time I mentioned, I wanted they should remember.
They will never forget.
Michael, is there anything that you would like to tell your grandparents?
Well, I'm just glad that that they told me their story, because I thought at first I didn't know if I wanted to know everything that was going on. But after they told me the story, I'm glad I knew, I learned a lot more about the Holocaust than, the average person would know. And, I'm just happy that, that, I
The
just
night
knew.
spoke in the school there.
Yeah, she spoke to them at a school, several schools actually. My last private school, she taught that, a bunch of kids. I thought it would, it'd be good that you make a difference that, that everyone would start, being able to know and go there.
How old were you when you first heard the story?
I think the first time, I think I was in middle school. I think it was, I must have been like 13 or 14 years old.
Steven? How old were you?
I think I heard around the same time when I got to middle school. But I probably heard it earlier though. Probably heard it the same time he heard it.
And how were you affected by it?
Speak up.
When I was younger, I didn't really understand. I knew it happened because they told me, but I didn't really think about it. But then I got older and they explained it to me more, and then I understood it. And I'm just glad that they told me so I could know what happened.
You hope never happens.
I guess.
Is there any final comments? Anything anyone would like to say?
Come on.
I just feel that with all of our experiences and growing up, that it has affected us profoundly. Perhaps I'm a little more nervous than most, but I'm very proud of my family and my heritage and that I'm a Jew.
She should have married an Orthodox guy because she was religious. And when she married, he was nothing.
Well, my daughter keep a kosher home. She tried to please us with it, and we are proud of it. And I think my daughter is not that nervous when she talks to me. She never raised the voice on me. I hope she will not raise it in the future. Maybe when I get older, maybe. When I get more senile or something, then probably will be a different story. But she was never talk loud to me. She always could talk to me in a normal voice. And when I saw her born, I saw a cute baby I never saw in my life. And my cry from the Holocaust lessened already when I got I named her after my mother. And I hope give her good health and long life.
Thank you all very much.
And my boys love me. They love me.
Okay, and what's this picture of?
This picture was taken in Bratislava, in the capital. I was working at that time in 1947, and there was a meeting of all the survivors in the city who was there at that particular time. I was there with my cousin, and we are on the barn, and the second person from the barn is a lady. On top of that lady is my picture. I have a tie on,
Where's your cousin?
and my cousin is sitting near me on the right.
She's sitting on the right, to the left, immediately to
To-
the left of you.
That means she was sitting on the left of me. Not that in the white,
Right.
that in the dark dress.
Okay. Okay, what's this picture of?
That picture is I was taken in Bratislava in order to send for my wife a picture of myself, because she sent me before a picture of her. And I was taken, and I mailed it to her, and I put on the back the date and that I'm sending it to her for remembrance. I was not engaged completely at that particular time. I think so. I start to lose hair already, but it's not seeing that much.
Okay, who's this a picture of?
This is my older sister, my father's firstborn child. She was born on January 1913. She was always visiting my aunt for a vacation for 2-3 weeks. She used to bring us toys and all that from the hardware store, which I later worked there. And it was taken in 1932. I received that picture from my aunt Ethel Weisberg in New York when I arrived to the United States in December 5th, 1951.
And what's this picture?
This picture is from our school, approximately the 4th grade public school. The photographer took the size near the church, which was a cross there, and the boys didn't want to stay near the cross, and we didn't know what to do. One was doing that. So finally we decided we sit in the front row, and they told us to kneel. Said no, we will not kneel. So we sit down and we put our feet the way we are there. And there is 3 Jewish kids there. 2 of them survived, me and other boy who lives now in New York. His name is Rochlit Shiu. And I am there on that picture, and I received that picture from a teacher in Czechoslovakia.
Where are you seated?
I am seated in the bottom, from the right side, the second. From the right side, the second, right?
Mm-hmm. All right, what's this?
This picture is, I make a copy of the other picture which with all the kids together. I was 9 years old at that time. I remember them taking that picture, and I remember the scene which we made between where to sit, where to stay. We get problem with the church. We was still a religious-minded kids. You see, I don't wear long pairs there, but I still was a religious-minded boy.
How did you end up getting this picture?
The end of each school year, the class make a picture all the time. Every time in June, the end of June, the class make a picture, and whoever buys the picture, you have to buy it, and you got the picture. If you keep it, then you have it. I had that picture with me,
with you?
but they took it to Russia. No.
So where did you end up getting it?
I get the picture. I get the picture thing for my friend or for a school teacher who survived the Holocaust, who is not Jewish, of course, not American.
Okay, what's this picture of?
The picture is of my sister in 1st grade. It was 3 Jewish kids there. None of them survived.
And which sister is on here?
My sister is Pauline. She's my sister, my brother, but she's the 4th child in the house.
And where is she?
She was 13 when they took her to Auschwitz. 13-year-old. She was very good in school. She was the best in school from all of our children we were there.
All right, who's in this picture?
In this picture is my parents decided to make a family picture. At that time we were only 3 children, and my father supposed to come, and we was waiting him for almost 2 or 3 hours. He didn't arrive. So my mother decided we make the picture, and that picture is my mother in the middle. She make her own dress. She could make dresses for anybody. She was very good in that. And my sister is there, who on the previous picture you saw her.
Here?
She got an American package. They sent American package, a dress. It was too big on her, but they put her to wear it. And I am here on the left side, the smallest, in that marine cap. And my mother said I look so innocent there on that picture. So, and my brother is there,
Which
brother Mordechai, or Maximilian. He was there. He was taken to Poland in 1941. He was get problem with the stomach, so they took him earlier.
And which sister was this again?
The sister is Cecilia, the oldest. She's here approximately 11 or 12 years old.
And how old's your mother?
My mother was on that picture. My mother was let's see, this was 1940. What year I said? 40. I was 6, and my mother was older for me, 21. My mother was 27 or 28-year-old.
This is the conclusion of the videotaping, with 3 tapes being used for this interview today.
here.
And which sister was this again?
The sister is Cecilia, the oldest. She's here approximately 11 or 12 year old.
And how old's your mother?
My mother was on that picture. My mother was let's see, this was 1940. What year I said? 40. I was 6, and my mother was older for me, 21. My mother was 27 or 28 year old.
This is the conclusion of the videotaping with 3 tapes being used for this interview.